Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Three Strangers podcast. I am your host, Ryan.
I'm Nick.
And I'm Bill. What's up, guys?
And we have a really fun episode for you today. I'm going to kind of let Nick take head of this and kind of talk about why we're doing this.
Yeah, so we got this really cool opportunity. We were sent an indie film. We were emailed about an indie film before it had been released. It has now been released, and we were just kind of emailed by the distributing company to to check it out. And so today we will be talking about the independent film Hemet. It's a city in California. I don't know where he's close. Hemet or the Landlady Don't Drink Tea. We want to thank the Bayview Entertainment Distributing Company for sending it to us to check out. They just kind of were putting it out there. Full transparency, we're not being paid to do this. So we figured, why maybe we should, we'll do an honest review. It's really cool to have this first indie film sent to us to review, and it's a horror movie. They saw our podcast, so thank you for listening.
Yes.
And this is a horror comedy film made in 2023, but I think released this year. It sounds like it is an unrated horror comedy, with a plot line of a tyrannical landlady lords it over her tenants during an epidemic, pitting them against each other in a web of paranoia spun for deadly results.
Well, I can tell you this much. I know that, we didn't personally, get, paid, unless you're holding out on us, of course, Nick. Unless,
I've stolen all the money.
Stolen all the money, I'm sure. I certainly feel kind of big time, when people are, sending us, movies to review. It's honestly very flattering. I guess let's just kind of dive right in. It's interesting. I guess we should sort of talk about early how there's all kind of levels of film, and I would honestly say that horror is kind of like an entry point for a lot of amateur filmmakers. I think it's kind of like a classic thing. It's there's a lot of low budget, little, things out there. Some are obviously better than others, but what was your guys' initial impression of this one?
I honestly, and this is something that we talked about before, that we were going to be honest with our review of this, that we weren't going to try to sugarcoat anything. The movie had me laughing a little bit,
Horror
there were
comedy.
sections where, where the landlady, some of the lines that were said had me cracking up a bit. The effects are alright. I think that some were better than others in it. And I love when a movie just goes balls to the wall, going what the hell is happening right now? And this movie does that.
If I've ever talked about this terribly much on the podcast, I don't want to derail us too much, but there is a legend that and honestly, now that I'm talking about it, I kind of want to manifest it for a future episode. I was going through a scrapbook of my grandfather's once, and there was all these weird photos down and everything, and I was like, Grandpa, what is this? Did this happen in the town and everything? And he was like, oh yeah, that's when they were filming that movie. And I was like, they burned down a barn?
What?
And he was like, well, it was a mistake, but yes. And it was an independent horror movie that was filmed in the 90s, in the town where my dad grew up. I didn't personally grow up there. And it was one of those things where and I think that honestly, that movie, I don't want to spoil too much of it because it's a little hard to get copies of it, and there's maybe some scary elements that we should talk about that also might have some weird legal stuff with them. But this is all to say that it captured the time. Sorry, to give you just a little bit of context, because I know that sounds really scary. It concerns a mad scientist that is creating like chimera. Is that how you pronounce that word? With animals, combining animals together. Chimera,
like
chimera,
biologically their bodies and
like
genetics?
biologically.
Yeah.
And I'm just gonna say that I did watch it once, and it kind of looked like it was actual animal parts being used. I don't think.
No.
Yeah, I know. So that is kind of. That is like, okay, so now compare that kind of like, you're gonna be accidentally burning down barns and like setting things on fire and like peanut thing by like the indie filmmaking exists on a spectrum where there's like ethical considerations, like also for like the actors and everything. This film, like Hemet, it honestly looked like most of the time people were having a pretty good time. Like there wasn't like it was like it's sort of like what it is in so far that like I think most people involved could accept that there wasn't too much of a budget for this film. I don't know who was paid and unpaid, but everybody's giving it their best shot, which is what I can appreciate. But yeah,
you can. I think my first impression right off the bat was, this is indie film. Like I think a lot of indie films have that energy where it's not very clean, but that's what you expect going into an indie film. It's like, okay, yeah, no, I'm okay. I need to dampen some expectations because indie films are like this. They're maybe experimental. They're maybe rough around the edges. They're, maybe there some continuity errors, right? You can expect those. But I also had to remind myself that it's a horror comedy, and that like, horror. I think it's just been a while since we watched a horror comedy, because I had to remind myself like there is some ridiculousness that comes with horror comedies, right? We can probably agree there.
Oh yeah, Tucker and Dale versus Evil, like
a modern classic of a horror comedy.
Yeah,
right.
Full on ridiculous, and there's a lot to appreciate. I mean, right off the bat, I'm not a filmmaker, right? This movie was made, it was produced, and it was released, which is phenomenal because a lot of people can't say that they've ever had a movie produced, So I think that's something right off the bat that should be appreciated and celebrated.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
And even going further than that, it's not terrible. I think there is a lot going for it. It's not on the upper echelon of indie film. I mean, like we talked about Skinamarink, that's total indie, right? But I do think that there is a lot that should be really appreciated with it.
Yeah, and I think so too. I think here's my favorite part of just like talking generally speaking. I think Hemet or the Landlady Don't Drink Tea. I think it almost feels like a slice of life in a comedic and horrific way. It's kind of like a slice of life, a crime movie inside an epidemic, which is supposed to be kind of a zombie epidemic, but it's bath salts epidemic, probably taking
the
on
salties.
The salties, right? Yeah, as they refer to. I think like what that does is, it's one of those movies where like you have an epidemic that's like the greater context of the film, but it's not the specific context of the film. Like we have a drama, or we have a comedy drama within this like apocalyptic setting, and I think like that's actually something that doesn't happen a lot. Like I think like a Quiet Place, the entire context of the zombies and monsters is that's the plot, right? And I think it's comparable to maybe like Walking Dead, where like you get drama within you get like specific stories within a greater context. I think I realized like, oh, that's not something that a lot of horror movies do. Usually the horror is just the one context, and it doesn't do that. And I think that's pretty creative. Perhaps more of what we're missing.
Yeah.
I think it's like interesting because like I'll recruit. You guys might be a little familiar with my debut directorial, like film. I actually wrote and produced it as well. It's called the Seinfeld version of the Canterbury Tales. I released it in high school. Sorry,
Nice.
this is all to say that I don't have a lot of. Actually, and sorry, I know. Sorry, that was kind of a random thing to say. This is to. This is.
I'm sorry. Let's all appreciate Bill's clout.
Yeah.
One indie filmmaker to another here.
Listen. Like I gotta tell you so much. I remember I did that. Like it was later in high school. I was like 17, 18, and I remember like to make an objectively very not good 8-minute film kind of thing. But like I remember like it was like it's almost like when you have no film education and you try to make a film, you're like, oh, that's right. Like if you're doing outdoor shots, you need to shoot at the same time of day, or else the shadows are going to hang differently, or else there's going to be like noises that are in the background that didn't exist before, or like whatever. And like I was like it was all kind of like stuff that I didn't even think about until you started doing it, or the fact that you kind of need like a dedicated crew of people, because like to even this thing was 8 minutes long. It took us like 2 full days to like get like through, maybe not 2 full days, but like a solid 12 hours of filming effort. And like I was like, that is crazy. Like that it was like that kind of thing. So to even make this like this like is like absolutely feature length, it's honestly a really kind of substantial effort. I certainly don't have the chutzpah to make anything like it, and I think I until Three Strangers recording or our production studios, like once we like link up with like some big names, that's like when things will really get going. I think we're kind of stuck. But I will say, I guess what's interesting is something you said, Ryan, where you're like you're laughing, right? But can you be honest? Are you laughing because it's supposed to make you laugh, or are you laughing maybe like just because of the absurdity of some of this stuff, with or at? Yeah,
I think it's a mix of both.
Okay.
The landlady's lines in this are insane.
Yeah.
Let's describe this landlady, because we're dealing with our listeners who probably have not seen this movie.
Yeah, I'm gonna guess that not many. Although we should absolutely link it in our own way.
Yeah, we
will.
will link it in the description of where to find it, because it is streaming now on Amazon Prime, Tubi, Plex, and
We love
one
Tubi
other.
in this house.
Yeah,
You love Tubi?
Can be found on Tubi, Flex, Amazon Prime, and other platforms out there.
I don't want to derail us, but I can't believe there's something called Flex. Like they just came out with something called Howdy, and it's like the joke. It's like, oh well, bros, it's streaming on Poob. Like you didn't know that. like it's Flex. That's really a real one. Okay, whatever. Sorry, but let's give a little more context to what's going on in this film. Kind of summarize this weekend.
So who wants to describe what the landlady is?
Well, the landlady is played by Brian Patrick Butler.
Yes, and is a landlady. So we have a
relatively familiar,
cross-gendered landlady who is ruling over every apartment.
Right. Has great nails as well.
I noticed that. Okay, I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one.
And is in a wheelchair.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. Right. Maybe somebody can some inconsistencies are present with this landlady and what she is, how she's maneuvering. But she is quite feisty.
Yeah. Sorry. The film hinges upon this concept. I will say, upon the alternative title is The Landlady Don't Drink Tea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it hinges upon the landlady. She is the central character, I would almost say.
Mm-hmm.
Almost in
Yeah,
like
her or Rosie, I think is the other girl, right? Rosie. Yeah.
Sorry, you can tell we're like hesitant.
Okay, so to kind of like tie some things together, why we're like, how do you describe this lady? I'm gonna quote the landlady of what she
quotes.
says.
Yeah.
She says in one point to a sheriff, "I drink 4 things: blood, cum, coke, and rum, and I've already had 3 of those today."
And she don't drink tea.
What?
She don't drink tea.
Yeah.
You'll notice.
So it all comes back together by the transit property that
I guess, and sorry, right. That's the standout line of like ridiculativeness. Now, this is where I'm asking. I almost kind of like want to get into that. How serious are we supposed to take this whole thing? Because at times it feels pretty serious. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
There's this scene where, it starts out ridiculous. You know it's going to be a comedy movie. Starts out with a comedic dialogue on the outside of the apartment complexes between the landlady and a few of the residents. And one of the second or third scenes, we have this physical abuse. We have this domestic abuse case that is actually, I think it's one of the better shot scenes of this indie film, because because I remember in my comments I was like, oh, I don't know if this should be a comedy, because suddenly it was like, this is a pretty serious. We have a what's her name, Rosie? Yes, Rosie, who is a young tenant, a young woman tenant who has a boyfriend who is a rocker, and he comes home from touring. They get into an argument, to which Rosie's actor performs very well.
Mm-hmm.
My words are chosen intentionally there. But then her boyfriend winds up hitting her on the head, and she starts bleeding.
Yeah.
And there's this very long stare that she gives him that honestly is like, oh, this is, you know what? Bravo for like committing to this long silence of just her bleeding and staring at him in disbelief of what has just happened.
Yeah.
But it's a comedy movie.
But
you have to be like, hold on. What is it? Hold on.
It's like,
Yeah.
It's like one of those things. Like and not to. I'm gonna try to refrain from making too many like comparisons to anything. A movie probably a lot of us have seen is the It Chapter 2, which, if you'll remember, begins with a honestly horrifically brutal hate crime murder. Do you guys remember this? I remember.
Yeah.
I remember. Like, I'm like, whoa! Like, I remember. Like, that was like, whoa! Like, you're setting such a crazy intense tone here. Like, like, what is this going to be? And not unlike It Too. This thing is a little all over the place with its pacing and its there's a concept that we haven't talked about a whole lot. Like, I think, like, when it comes to, like, just, like, movie making in general, where it's, like, there's things that you want to feel, like, as, like, like, somebody that, like, puts, like, a creative thing. And I know we can all speak from, like, an acting background. That's a little secret. That's kind of how we all met, variously. But, there's, like, you never want things to be, like, unintentional. You can discover things that are unintentional, and then you're like, oh, that's like, why is like the audience like reacting like that? But I don't like, a lot of times, like, movies will rely on like story crutches where it's like, oh, this is a very familiar thing that we've all experienced before. We're going to insert this in here because that's going to make the audience feel a certain way. It's going to make them feel good. It's going to make them feel sad. It's going to make them feel thing. I don't believe...
But the connection.
Right.
Yeah, but make a connection with the audience. Give them something that's relatable and doesn't have to be good. It doesn't have to be, like, joyful. Yeah, it's just something that's human.
And,
that happens.
Right, and sometimes, a lot of times, like, a very common trope is like, oh, it's somebody very, like, tough and angry and does horrible things, but they're doing it because they have, like, a family member that's in trouble. Or, like, somebody in their life that they, like, care about. I was actually, not to distract, like, too much from it, I was watching Moneyball the other day, which is a non-horror movie at all. Great movie. However, a flaw in it that I won't go too far into is that I think they try to redeem a lot of Brad Pitt's character's actions through his daughter. Like, it's like, oh, like, it's like kind of like one of those things. Very common trope. I'm just going to go ahead and possess that I don't think this movie is working on that level. Necessarily. I don't think it's like, everything we see is like supposed to be like sort of like, okay, like we're going to do this thing and it's going to make the audience feel like this. We're going to do this thing and it's going to make the audience feel like this. However, I don't think it's always succeeding, right? I don't find this movie particularly scary. I don't know if you guys do.
No.
No.
So, I mean, it is failing as a horror movie, which is okay because I think horror is kind of subjective. Everybody can be... There's horror movies that people claim are really, really scary. Then I'm like, oh, like, they're okay. Blair Witch. Anyway. But anyway. That is not to say that, like, this movie is, like, without merit in a horror thing. I just think it's calibrated a little all over the place. And at times I'm struggling to understand, honestly, what's going on, which is a problem, I think.
Could I ask you a question, Bill, quickly?
Sure, absolutely. Please.
Do you think that a horror film has to be scary to be good?
That's really the question, isn't it? So here, okay. We have delved into like a lot of like different types of movies. We primarily operate in horror, right? That's where we like started. That's like where we continue to come back to. Horror is subjective, but like well-craftedness in like story and mood and like framing is kind of not, right? Like there's constituent elements that you'll see across movies that are considered good, and it's like the art of filmmaking, right? I think that a horror movie doesn't have to be like like yell out loud scary to like work as horror, but it has to affect you. It has to make you feel a way that you normally wouldn't. Sorry, I'm just gonna, like it was something we talked about a little bit in our pre-show. Like this, I'm comparing other low-budget films that we viewed to this. Against this, Skinamarink was not like yell out loud scary. It certainly made me feel a type of way though. If I watched Hemet in the dark, I don't think it would have enhanced the experience for me. I'm just kind of watching a movie in the dark. You know what I'm saying? Like like a not particularly like scary like movie in the dark. Now I understand horror is very unique in the fact that like you really have to give yourself into it in a way. You have to suspend disbelief, but sorry, belief can only be suspended so far. And I know I'm kind of giving a long roundabout answer to say that I don't think that horror has to be scary. I have to be, in order for a horror movie to be effective to me, I have to be affected by it on a level where it's almost like a subconscious thing. It's like, oh, like I am experiencing this. Why? Like, why am I experiencing this?
It has to at least draw you in. It has to at least draw you in, and I think perhaps this film plateaus with that. And I kind of agree with you, Bill, when you said I had a moment where I was like, I don't really know what's going on.
Yeah.
We had come to like some kind of of murder mystery. Essentially,
Yeah.
a police investigation of a murder
I was
mystery.
just say it becomes like police procedural at like one part, and you're like, oh,
Yeah.
Yes, we find ourselves in an interrogation room with a hashtag boss sign on the desk. And we're very confused as to.
Absolute cinema. Absolutely.
I thought this.
Anyway, but
And that's not a per se. There was literally a wooden hashtag boss on a desk. What's supposed to be like an interrogation room, but it's also a last rites. She's reading the last rites of the hotel property of which, not the hotel, the apartments of which Rosie is in the will, after being in a conversation with our character. Shoot, I forget his name.
Gary?
But he's
okay.
Gary. Yes.
Is that the one that gets shot that she gets the money from?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes, Gary.
Yeah. So Gary gets shot, but right before, literally the scene before Gary gets shot, he has a conversation with Rosie, opening up about his life out of kind of nowhere.
Yeah.
But hey, like, I'm a therapist in real life, so that's something I'm used to. But I think in this context, I don't think Rosie is used to that. It doesn't. I mean, Rose. It sounds like they've known each other for a long time, but it's not clear, at least by their interaction, how close they are. Which, side note, there's a very like sexist undertone of that conversation, of which he is telling Rosie, an older man is telling Rosie, you gotta watch out for perverts. Like, okay, yes, thank you, lonesome white man.
Yeah, thank you.
I, a woman, need to be told to watch out for perverts. Thank you. Thank you for that life advice. What is she to do? But I guess in that conversation, it's supposed to be so meaningful that he then literally gives his entire estate and the property itself to her.
It's yeah.
Yeah.
It's like the worst. Respectfully, it's like the worst type of shorthand. It's like, oh, like maybe like this will somehow make sense later. No. That is just what it is. The thing is that, like, I don't mind shorthand as long as it's, like, motivated, but I will agree. Okay, I'm glad you also kind of felt like that. I was like, this is, like, weird. There's, like, weird, like, subtext here. And here's the thing. The only thing that, like, will, like, really turn me off from, like, low budget does not mean bad, right? Low budget does not mean bad. There's some really awful, and I know this because we talked about them, really awful high-budget movies. It's easier for a low budget movie to be bad just because there's less QC of it, like there's less like people along the way quality controlling it generally. So it can be somebody's raw unfiltered garbage very quickly. The only thing I ask a low budget film not to be is offensive. I don't think that this ever really gets like this doesn't like affect me in that way, but I will say I do think that there's like some like weird kind of like interesting, like you said, it's you're supposed to take this guy at like face value, and it's funny. Maybe it affected me a little more because like I just dealt with like a weird situation like this at work, kind of, where it's like I had somebody that was like a coworker of mine have this situation happen to them, and it's like people still act like that, but it has to be, like this is not good, right? But I don't know if it ever gets there. So.
But he is. I think he's I think they're trying to describe him as a good character. Did you guys get like when he gets shot? We jump to he like. I forget how he goes to investigate some screams and then he gets shot, right? That's what
he gets the phone call from Tank saying that Rosie is being held hostage right now and like he needs to go there, to which then he calls Tank, not knowing that Tank was the one that called him, being like, hey, I think like something's up with Rosie, and Tank's like, oh shoot, I guess you better go investigate that, I'll be there. And instantly Bro gets shot as soon as he gets there.
Yeah.
If you guys are struggling to understand what we're talking about, that's okay. Because
Because we were
we
too.
don't really, like I'm not here to, like offer to give a comprehensive plot summary on this would be a little difficult to do, and that's not like any like big shade on the movie. The best movies ever have pretty noticeable plot holes at like times, but I've seen enough older low budget films with my dad to know that the first thing to go out the window in like a low budget production is like somebody that's like, I don't even know what you'd call it, like storyboarding. Like, let's see how this like thing is going to look as like a whole, and like what like continuity we're going to like experience like things in. That rarely happens at like the micro budget level, and I think that's maybe that's suffering from us understanding 100% of what's going on here, if there is things to understand, right? So
yeah. And I think the better movies, I want to compare it to Malignant for a second.
Whoa.
And
okay. The big gun.
I want it in the perspective of Malignant. When you are first watching it, you are like, what the hell is going on? Because it does not make sense at all. But then there's a moment that happens, and everything before it instantly clicks and makes sense within the realm of the movie. We never have that moment within this movie.
Right. It's not calibrated as such. But sorry.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And again, we're comparing a film that was directed by James Wan to a film with a tiny budget. But again, like we were saying, just because a film is low budget doesn't mean that like it's going to be bad. I interviewed Emily Haggins a few years ago, who her first feature length she made when she was 12 years old. And it is very well made.
Wow.
I'd probably say I enjoyed a little bit more than this one. But even still, you could still see, like, this is a kid that is making that, right? Like, there's... It's not fully, like, thought out in terms of, like, its continuity and all of that. It has weird pacing sometimes, just like this film. But just because it has those issues and things doesn't mean that's bad. This has a lot going for it. Like you mentioned, Nick, the scene with the domestic like abuse. It's not bad. Like that part, I was like, that's some pretty good, like that's a good performance by Rosie right there. The silence that she has, such a different take than like maybe other horror directors or other directors would take it. I think it's such a great choice.
Yeah, because you make a good point. Like, I think domestic abuse also often gets brutalized in horror movies to the point of discomfort, and you don't need to. You understand with a single hit what the situation is, and you also understand with a single hit what the reaction is, what the reaction should be, and I think that's where Rosie's actor really shines here, and I'm trying to remember her name.
The actress's name?
Is it Kimberly?
It is, yep, Kimberly
Weinberger.
Yes.
Really, in my opinion, the strongest performance of the film is in Kimberly and it's honestly because of the scene.
It also utilizes silence good. That in terms of like going from a music perspective, because some other goofy ass movies are gonna create like this super sad like maybe violin music that's in the background is like this is happening. That you're like, okay, like I understand how we're supposed to feel about this, but it's moments where when okay, you know what, the music's gonna drop here, and then we'll add it back in later. that that better films have, and this film does that. It utilizes silence very well.
Yes, yeah, it does. Something else I think it does well, that I think we talked about a little bit before with horror comedy is doing well. It's ridiculous. Just to kind of zoom away from the seriousness tone that it sets, maybe accidentally, or it's weird. It's weird that the abuse scene winds up being a fault, but also a strength, because that could be the tone of the whole movie, and then it's not, and so it leaves me a little confused afterwards. Whereas I think I could have appreciated it even more. But we do have this scene at this point. We have this the guy gets shot after going to investigate the noise. He gets shot by Tank, suggesting that it was a setup, and then the police show up, and Tank is acting all innocent, and people are trying to defend Tank, and he's trying to convince people to shut their mouth who know the truth, i.e. Rosie, and then Tank gets shot by a shotgun held by one of the cops investigating the scene. And at that point is when I laughed. Was like, wow, this is ridiculousness, but this is the horror comedy. Here it is. Wow, that made no sense, but that's pretty funny and unexpected.
Mm.
Yeah.
Also, can we mention that Tank kind of looks like a weird Great Value version of Bruce Campbell?
Yes.
Dude, I don't know. I was thinking that the entire time, but I was like, it kind of looks like the thing. Yeah, it's interesting because I think that man, I am interested to see I don't know who the main creative force behind this was. I'm assuming it's the director is Olmos, right?
Yes, it's almost.
It's Roy. Sorry, I feel like
Tony.
Tony
Olmos.
Tony Olmos.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like Tony Olmos has a really good sense of comedic timing, stuff I could imagine a farcical thing coming out of if you chose to go that road, I could see that being doing well, it would look good, but as it serves here, I'm glad that this was labeled as a horror comedy, just because it's almost like when The Room, it's oh, it's a drama, oh, it's a comedy, oh, it's somewhere in between. It's well, I guess it's whatever the audience is feeling today. I'm certainly there's once again going back to what you're feeling versus what we're supposed to feel versus, and that's hard, right? That's a hard balance to kind of strike. But yeah, no, I guess where do we even right, so Tank gets shot and it's
Tank gets shot, somehow it's okay. They're talking about, oh man, the police officer's probably gonna go to trial, right? And they're worried, but also they're not really worried. For some reason, this guy has just been shotgunned, and no one is, first of all, doing anything with his body. They're all just kind of standing around it. And then the scene after, I believe, is when you get the interrogation of Rosie in this dark office that is essentially just a desk. Again, I mean, this is indie film, right? So they're probably just in a darkened room with a light on a desk, where she's being given the property of the apartment complex, which is probably to set up, well, ultimately is to set up the end of the movie and have her become a final girl.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we fall into tropes at times here, right? But I mean, they're tried and true, right? But I don't find the landlord all that menacing. She's weird.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's maybe a cannibal.
Maybe a cannibal.
I don't know.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah.
I don't.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's things I'm struggling with in that.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I'm not like 100% like I'm like oh what's gonna happen next. It's more like what's gonna what's
Happen
gonna
next.
what's gonna
You-
occur. Yeah.
You know what one of those moments were for me was we get it was after the interview, after things are just like picking up. It turns out the landlady is also a member of a cult who they honor the Confederate flag.
I have some questions and
I have some questions about that. There's
She's-
no
Takes place in
justification.
California.
She's the
Let's
bad-
just also add that.
so fucking funny. She's the bad person, right? Okay, good. Okay, yeah.
Good.
Yeah,
She
yeah.
is the enemy. Yeah, she's
Yeah,
not made a martyr by any means.
Thank God.
However, there's a scene where Rosie and I think it's Kate are in an apartment together, and Kate is stressed out and she's ready to take a drink. So what does she do? She opens her cabinet. What does she pull out? A margarita mix container. She dumps it into a glass. Rosie makes some kind of comment suggesting, "Oh, she just made a margarita." No, she didn't. She took out margarita mix, put it in a glass, and said, "You want one?"
It's almost like that recursive like thing where it's like I know what kind of scene you're trying to make. Like it's like like we're not so different,
Yeah.
you and I. It's like
Right.
no,
Yeah.
you're extremely like know like
Is this where I add in that the writer of the film is the landlady, the person who plays the landlady?
That
Yes.
makes so much sense.
Yes.
Oh,
It-
gets all the good dialogue,
Gets all the good dialogue.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
And then everything else drops out. Like now the other dialogue doesn't make sense at all.
Okay, I'm gonna, I know it was directed by Tony Olmos. I'm gonna say that probably the main creative force was him. The actor. Sorry, what's the actor's name? Do we have a
Brian.
Brian Patrick Butler.
Brian Patrick
Yes.
Butler. BPB.
B.
BPB. Okay, cool.
BPB.
Who knows?
Okay.
Who knows? We could see that. We could see that name. Like up there someday.
Yeah.
God,
He's-
I hope this is a companion thing where like it was written by the person who made Fred 3, Camp Fred, and then just has a writing companion.
I hate to break it to you guys, but he is set to be in a horror movie next year called A Corpse in Kensington.
Okay.
And in the past he has been involved with movies such as The Phantom Hour, South of 8, Friend of the World, Hacksaw, Continuance, We All Die Alone, and Zach King's Day Off. Zach King as in
Oh.
A classic.
yeah. Zach King's Day Off as in was that Smosh? Was Smosh involved with the that Zach King? You know the YouTube personality Zach King. Apparently he's involved with that movie as well.
Wow. Well, it's like one of those. Okay, that's really funny that you listed off his entire discography, and like I'm like, like sure, like like I'm like
Right.
like biggest thumbs up I can give because yeah, like if there's anything like it's no secret I talked about it before. Like I live in like New York. There's like a million bajillion indie film fest things. I attended one of a friend of mine, and I am like, there is so much stuff getting made that it's just kind of sad that like not a lot of people will see it. Just like it's like one of those things. I am glad that we saw this though. Like I'm glad that this was brought to our attention. Even if it does suffer from some problems, but I guess to kind of, talk about I'm just not sure what happens. like, I'll let people know I only, like I only watched this film once for the thing. I think that's okay. And I'm not sure if that's controversial. Sorry, everyone.
Bill got to the end and said, "So the landlady, does she drink tea?"
And like I was like,
no, she drinks 4 things. We know this. She drinks 4.
I was like, sorry. I actually gave it a standing ovation. It was a 5-minute long standing ovation in my apartment, and record-breaking attendance. The house was sold out. It was me.
The house was sold out.
It was me and my 2 cats. My girlfriend refused to attend the screening. I don't know. It's so there's only 3 seats anyway, so it's okay. We're gonna kick one of the cats out, but yeah, pretty tough. Pretty tough. There is, she only drinks 4 things. That's true. What more do I need to know? Yeah, I shouldn't be asking such things.
That's also a plot hole, right? Like, she's in a relationship, and something I was trying to figure out is like, okay, is this, essentially, like, what's the transgender part of this? Like, are we doing a cross-dresser? Are we doing, and it really wasn't clear. And perhaps, whatever, it wasn't important. But she is in a relationship with somebody. Mm-hmm. She's in a relationship with some guy who she uses or pay. Is it? It's unclear if it's a male prostitute or if it's a someone she sees a lot, or maybe it's a regular prostitute. They just have a gig, Never gets addressed. I think I could have. I was interested in it. I was like, well, where does this relationship come into play? Where does her emotion come into play? But we never see that. She just continues. I feel like I missed some of her lines because of how much she talks.
Yeah. I would also like to add that there is a plot hole, because she drinks 5 things. She drinks the smoothie that the kid makes of her cat. So, so she does drink 5 things.
Yeah, I did not appreciate that. I actually like to bring a special guest onto the panel here.
Oh no,
that did not appreciate the abuse to cats. Hey, listen, I'm coming for whoever made American Psycho as well, with the cat being fed into the thing. But yeah, that is kind of fucking weird. Why even include a line in there about not drinking things and then immediately contradict yourself? That is actually a really good point, Ryan. God dang. Mm-hmm. God dang. Okay.
That's where the movie lost me, guys.
That's where you walked out.
I mean, all the way through.
You walked out of your apartment.
I walked out of my living room and started doing the dishes.
Wow.
There's something here too that I don't know if I've said this on the podcast. I was on a short film. I was filming a short film. I was in a short film.
We get it, Nick. You're
cool.
You're cool.
Sorry.
Okay, all right.
No, but what I'm about to say is, I was in the scene. I am bleeding out, or I've been bitten. It's a zombie horror film, and I've been bitten. Right? Crazy. What a concept.
Well, we're going to be reviewing this film for the... Well, maybe you have to recuse yourself. We could do it with Savannah or something. But, anyway, sorry. Okay, go ahead. Sorry. I don't mean to interrupt.
And something I realized is that, I have to be in pain at every second I'm on screen. Yeah.
That's hard.
It's... Right. And it's something that, whatever, horror movies have violence. There's a lot of pain, injuries. Duh. Right? There's this scene towards the end of the film. Shit goes down, and long story short, Rosie gets her legs chopped off. And she's sitting on the ground, and not bleeding out. Supposed to be, I guess, theoretically, bleeding out. She just got her legs chainsawed off. Yeah.
You cannot survive that. Hey, by the way, you're not surviving that.
She's a calm, cool, collected. Her legs have just been chopped off, and and I forget what her line is, so I'm gonna make it up. But it's like, what do we do now? Lady, girl, your legs have been chopped off. What do you mean? What do we do now? How are you not screaming?
You're fucked. Yeah.
And then she convinces the landlady's daughter that she's gonna recognize her face if there's a police lineup. So then the daughter of the landlady decides, I'm gonna cut off my entire face, like my skin, and then she runs away, to which the landlady responds, girl, come on. Direct quote. She says, girl, come on.
Girl, come on.
Yeah,
as Rosie
roll.
sits there like,
Like a statue.
Actually, sorry, I guess you guys just weren't paying close enough attention that this movie is actually it's a meditation on loss. And it's stoicism. And sorry,
and numbness.
That probably flew right over your guys' head. That's okay. That's why I'm here, right? No, yeah, I'm being facetious. Sorry. Sorry. I had this weird thing, and so this is a nitpicky thing that I just burns me a lot whenever we're reviewing horror stuff. Yeah, sorry, you don't survive that. You don't survive a double amputation unless it is the most sterile, like a lot of prep work and shit.
You're in the hospital and there's
right.
a surgeon actually amputating your leg.
Right. Anticoagulants, antibacterial stuff, all this stuff. Or procoagulants. You know what I'm saying? It is ridiculous. That is where I'm like, okay, this movie is not interested in the realism, which is okay, because I don't think you can always afford realism, right? But then it's okay, well, if you're gonna be ridiculous, then go as crazy as you crazy as you want. We've already crossed the threshold, right?
Yeah.
And it's how about I don't know. It just doesn't terribly work well for me. We did finally get a payoff for the kind of weird leg eating jokes that were sort of alluded to throughout the entire film. Also, obviously that's the money thing of the film, right? It was it was just so weird because it's they knew that the scene was coming, and it's we're gonna talk about it as the characters in the film as whatever. It's okay. It's okay.
To clarify, because this definitely sounds confusing, the quote unquote zombies in the film are high on bath salts, and it's very much that those horrid stories of you hear people, oh my god, when people go on bath salts, they just are eating people. Whether or not those stories are true, that's what this movie is basing its violence on, and there's this subtext of addiction, I guess, with the bath salts, and when people are high on the bath salts, they eat legs. And that is used as an insult, as a fling, as an homage, as a reference over and over again, and it's not really clear why. And then we get a scene where oh, there they are, eating someone's leg.
That's the leg thing. I don't know if this was. I know we kind of didn't really talk about the entire thing, but these zombies that are not actually zombies. They're more just high on bath salts and they're doing crazy stuff. That was some real ass moral panic where I'm from when that was going on. When the first stories of people getting high on bath salts. I remember it was weirdly it's they're getting high on bath salts now. They're getting high on oven cleaners now, and that it puts you into a state of psychosis. That was real. People where I lived, and I come from upstate New York, so it's a little, people believe a lot of what they see on TV. That oh, you do this and you do the thing. It's interesting though. I don't understand what the messaging is here. What is you know what I'm saying? What are they trying to say? That you literally drugs are bad? Is it that surface level? Is it?
No. What they're trying to say is if you do bath salts, you get a leg up on the competition.
I actually, dude, I actually think they're trying to hire you for their next production. They're he's a fucking genius. Let's go. Yes.
Oh.
Ryan had to take a moment of silence for the joke.
That really stunned Ryan into silence.
Guys, I don't know how we continue on after that. I think we gotta wrap up the.
Yeah, one more. Okay, I gotta write my leg based review.
Yeah, I need all of us to come up with a leg based review.
I actually have. I actually have one sort of pre done for this, but I'm afraid it's a little too mean. Maybe I'll do an alternate cut or something. But I guess let's just talk about just what we think about this movie overall. You know.
Do you guys think that although she only drinks 4 things, that she eats one thing and that's legs?
You know, the movie is shockingly unclear on what she eats. You know,
yeah,
it's up for interpretation.
That was a question that I had.
It's a Venn diagram.
She also smokes.
She does. Does that count as eating?
I don't know. She does consume, I guess, tobacco. It's not unclear if it's tobacco or pot or a cigarette, whatever. She's got one of those bath salts. Maybe if she's smoking bath salts, maybe that's what it is. I have to say, I love the choice that she has a old fashioned cigarette holder that she's smoking out of. This landlady can hang. Wow, yeah, we are baffled with what to review this as. I can tell. We really enjoyed the experience. I think I'm just filling space at this point, but we really enjoyed the experience now.
We did.
It was cool. I think it's cool to, first of all, we are so grateful to be sent this indie film. Thank you. Thank you to Dan Butler, the film publicist, for emailing us about it. This movie, Hemet or The Landlady Don't Drink Tea. Oh, right. Oh, yeah, what, Ryan?
The writer is Brian Patrick Butler. Are they related? Dan Butler and Brian Patrick Butler?
This is all in the house.
Wait a second.
This is all in the house.
Hold on.
Hold on.
This is all in the family.
Wait a minute.
Let's not even delve too much deeper into that one. But I think I would not be surprised to find out that this is a family affair.
Well, with that said, I think the landlady, Hemet or The Landlady Don't Drink Tea captures the energy of the indie horror comedy universe in a way that that procures the discussions around indie film and what they're capable of, what they're not capable of, and definitely suffers from some of those pitfalls that are commonly felt with indie films. Has some laughs, some ridiculousness, and some genuinely good shots that shots and performances that really grab the attention. I give this film 2 out of 5 legs. Thank you.
You're a hero, Nick. And my extended thing. I kind of want to give my extended thing before my little. Yeah, sorry. I often say I come from my main creative focus these days, other than the podcast, is working on music stuff, and I think it's very easy to get down on yourself in the music industry in a place like New York. But what I always tell people when they're getting down on themselves is you're a million miles ahead of the people that just thought about learning how to play music. You know what I'm saying? It's you're already here, you're already kind of doing the thing. And that's where I kind of want to leave things with this film. It's what was this film my favorite? No. Will I be watching it again? Probably not. But just to fully quantify my things. I did not enjoy watching it though, and for people, we are people that talk about film a lot. I don't have a lot of experience making it. I don't want to speak for all of us. I know Ryan, you have some experience, and Nick, it seems like you were in a production. Of course, you guys know my very extensive writer, director, producer experience. But ultimately, everybody's got to start somewhere, and this is a pretty good somewhere to start. That being said, okay, roll tape here. While this film honestly might best be enjoyed on bath salts, Hemet does justify its runtime with some laughs.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry. It's kind of brutal. Anyway, sorry. Okay, I feel bad. It's like we're like, okay, yeah. The claws had to come out a little bit. Yeah, but I'm interested to hear what you think, Ryan.
I mean, what I've realized throughout the filming of this episode is that if my students ever find my YouTube channel to then find the podcast,
it's basically over for you. It's basically over.
It's
over.
It's done for me if this ever comes to see the light of day.
Well.
Well.
Clip that.
Maybe
clip that,
I'll get a publicist to send it off. See if we can get some attention.
All
right. Oh, okay.
But what I will say about this film, like final concluding thoughts, is I really appreciate that we had this opportunity, and I want to say that I think now the next step is for people invite us to film festivals, and we will all go see your film at a film festival. Adrian Toffe, we're calling you out right here, buddy.
Yes, Adrian, our friend who we support.
Friend of the show.
He's doing great, getting some awards for his new film coming up. Really cool.
We gotta get him on the pod to talk about it. That's gonna be really exciting.
Oh yeah, we will.
I had such a good time talking with him last time. It'd be great to see between then and now. Sorry, was that 2020? Oh my God, guys,
so.
We're so old.
The very end.
We're so old.
Of 2020, or just the beginning of 2021.
Yeah,
this is a long time ago.
Sometime right around there. It might have been early 2021, but god darn. Okay, well, hopefully.
Talking about indie films. I mean.
Yeah, right. That was his films are indie films, so yeah.
That's
so.
Yeah. Wow.
With that being said, thank you everyone for watching. Thank you Bill and Nick for being on here. Thank you again to Dan Butler and everyone involved with the film. Actor, producers, writer, all the above. Congrats on having a film made and having people watch it. I mean, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's something it has 200 plus reviews on Letterboxd in the first couple of months. Not bad for an indie film.
No, not bad at all. Yeah. I'll be.
Well, we'd love PR packages.
Yeah, sorry.
No, if somebody, if your indie film is out there and you'd like to let us, send it to us, let us know. That's great. Our email is, it's either flashforwardreviews@gmail.com, or you can find us at threestrangerspodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, I cannot stress enough how much we want to review films like that, especially where you fly us out and we get to do cool shit. Involved with that, compensation packages greatly encouraged.
Yeah, and if you end up having your festival in LA that we are set to attend, we will request that you have a fourth ticket sent, and we'll be bringing Caitlin Aaron O'Neill with us.
That is very true, and we will be heckling from the audience. I will be getting drunk at the day bar, unfortunately. I will be,
and I will be doing bath salts,
and you will be doing bath salts. Sorry, Ryan. What's your vice, dude? Maybe in the
I gotta keep up the image. I gotta keep up the image, guys.
Okay, squeaky clean.
Yeah, squeaky clean for now.
Okay.
For now,
oh.
But I will say I will be with you when we're at the festival. We are going to be like the Muppets, like the old men in the theater. We'll be chastising.
Waldorf.
Yeah. We will be doing that to your film.
Yeah.
I hope you know.
We will be being thrown out by security. LAPD will hurt us. Yes, they will hurt us.
These are all just for all professional purposes. These are all jokes.
Yes.
We-
Yes.
we-
Yes.
we're
Yes.
grateful and
Everything
delighted
we're
to-
saying, we're joking about.
for any exposure that you would like to have to us. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, we would be
Yes.
very respectful of
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. No, honestly, it would be so cool to like, sorry, that is like, that would legitimize us in a way that I'm scared to, like, like, it's like if more people keep sending us stuff where they're like, hey, we value you as like reviewers and we're generally want to hear that almost like scare me in like a way. I'd be like, oh, now like the things that we say matter. I actually gotta, like,
shoot.
like, oh shoot, like I have to like, start stripping back the irony a little bit. But okay,
Yeah, we'd have to stop with the leg jokes.
oh, we'll get there when we get there. Okay, we'll get there when we get there.
Oh, but like I said, always remember, if you get high on bath salts, please do not eat people's legs.
Timely advice. Timely advice.
Bye, everyone.
See ya.
Bye, guys.